Reggie Aloysius Miller Jr. the third, NBA on TNT. He's got Wizards Knicks coming up tonight on TNT. All right, so you're in New York. What do people say to you on the streets of New York, Reg?
It's different because probably the number one thing. There's probably two things. How Spike Lee, number one, like we are pen pals or something. And I hated you growing up, but I respect you. So I probably get that the most from New Yorkers in all my travels, but certainly when I'm walking the mean streets of New York.
But that's probably the one place where you get any kind of reaction that's over the top, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we had a rich history of playoff basketball, and certainly both teams didn't like one another, and that's what I loved. From that 90s era of basketball. Yeah, the NBA did a great job of marketing us as individuals and its stars, and I get that. But when you have a team rivalry, kind of like the 80s when it was Boston versus the Lakers, and even though you had Magic and you had Larry, those were the highlights. Those two cities hated one another. Indiana and New York, we could not stand one another. The cities, they hated one another, and it just kind of ramped up those Pacers-Knicks series.
Why would LeBron not acknowledge the Warriors as a rival?
I don't know, because it absolutely is a great rivalry. Because, look, this is something people can follow now. Hopefully – there's a lot of work to be done in between, but people would want to see that trilogy. Both have won a championship. They've added a piece, obviously, in Kevin Durant to the Warriors, which, kind of, ramps it up a little bit, but it certainly is a rivalry.
Do you think Draymond Green was trying to deliver a flagrant foul to LeBron the other night?
Absolutely not. And I cannot believe it was a flagrant foul. Great acting on LeBron. I've been there, done that. I love it. Hey, that's what you're supposed to do. Sell it. But to me, it was not a flagrant one.
Did you practice flopping or trying to convince selling a call?
No, you can't practice. You're born with that. Those are natural gifts from God right there. There's no need. Denzel, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they do not need to rehearse their lines. Those are natural gifts.
But did you look at film, honestly, to see if it looked convincing or not? Or is it just in the moment?
It is in the moment, but yes. Because you do look at tape, the day after games. And, there was at times when I said, I could have sold that better. I could have done that a little. I wish the better lighting should have been on me to my left for my highlight. Yes, there's times when I say I could have sold something a little bit better or taken something a little bit off the top. That was too dramatic.
What is Carmelo Anthony saying to the Knicks? I guess we could look at both sides. What are the Knicks saying to Carmelo, and what is Carmelo saying to the Knicks?
Number one, if you're Phil Jackson, your number one question is, do you really want to be here? Do you want to be a part of this team? And if you're Melo, I think your message has always been the same. I signed this contract to play with you guys. This max deal. I've been the face of this franchise for, the last several years. Of course I want to be here. But the little drops and hints from Phil, because this is Phil Jackson. He did this as a coach. He plants stories in the media, the article with Charlie Rosen. And here's the thing, because I saw this interview last night with Melo. Don't say you didn't read the article. You certainly, absolutely read the article. You know exactly what Phil said in that article. But don't say I didn't read it because you were just upset with the headline. No, you weren't, Melo. You read the article, and that's what ticked you off.
Who's with the Knicks longer, Melo or Phil Jackson?
Oh, man. Well, look, right now, Melo has the ultimate trump card because he has the no waiver, the no trade. So he controls his own destiny. And, I've heard the same thing that there's only two teams you would want to play for, the Clippers or the Cavs. They've got to figure something out because the Knicks, if you look at their roster, they're better, obviously, than their record indicates. And I know they had a big win on the road last night in Boston. But tonight versus Washington, I have zero idea which Knicks team will show up. I know they've made changes to the starting lineup. Noah and, Porzingis did not play last night. Will either one or both of those guys play tonight? So you don't know. You've got fighting in the clubhouse. You've got Phil Jackson who won't talk to the media, which kind of scratches my head a little bit. And I don't know what Knicks is going to show up. The one that we saw last night in Boston that could probably beat anyone, or the Knicks team that we've seen over the last 2.5, 3 weeks that can't get out of their own way.
We spent a good portion of the morning talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame and steroids and those who did, those who didn't, rumor, innuendo. How prevalent do you think steroids are or were in the NBA?
I don't think steroids would have helped NBA players. Now, I could be naive or wrong, but from what I understand, two things. Number one, steroids bulk you up. Am I right about that?
Well, it can be used for recuperative powers, like Lance Armstrong.
For recovery, right, and for recovery.
Yeah.
That was my second thing. It's used for recovery. So, 4 games in 5 nights or back-to-back nights, possibly. I just, maybe I'm naive. It never entered into certainly our locker room, but you just look at the physical makeup of most NBA players. They don't look big. They don't look like they're taking anything. So, but again, I could be naive. I really could be, but I just don't think it entered into, NBA locker rooms.
You are the least guilty. Like, you didn't use. I know that, Reg. I can guarantee.
Maybe I should have. But look, here, you and I, we've had this conversation before. If there was a pill that was illegal that made me have huge hands like Michael Jordan, and I could jump like Michael Jordan, and I could play like Michael Jordan during that era, would I take it? And it made me sit down and think, oh my God, if I want to be like him and can compete with him at the highest level, would I don't know if I would certainly think about taking it. I would.
But you're so competitive.
And that's the point I'm making about baseball players and being competitive, because this all, Barry Bonds and the whole Sosa and McGuire and wanting to compete, isn't that when Barry Bonds, it was around that era when those two guys were highlighted,
yes.
Sosa and McGuire, right?
98.
And Bonds wanted to be part of the party, correct?
He knew he was better than those two, but they were getting all the publicity.
That's the point I'm making. Would would I have done something if there was a pill to make me play like MJ or compete with him, or I don't know. But look, time heals all wounds. I'm sure Clemens, I'm sure Bonds in the next, are they still eligible within the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Within the next 5 years, both of them will be in.
Do you think they think it was worth it?
Their bank account
I know.
says it was worth it.
Well, they were rich.
Hold on. You and I and the older generation, we know how great those two guys are. Even before the steroids, if allegedly they took steroids, we knew how great they were. So we know that they should be in the Hall of Fame. We know Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
A couple of things before I send you on your way. You could start your team with Karl Anthony Towns or Joel Embiid.
Oh, my goodness. I would go with Karl Anthony Towns because he's not on a minutes restriction. Until Embiid shows me that he can play and he's an everyday player.
Yeah.
Right now he's, 1 game on, 1 game off. So, and he's putting up big numbers, don't get me wrong, and he's being consistent. But Karl Anthony Towns, he plays every game. He plays every day.
All right. Toughest.
So right now I would go with Cat.
Toughest team to watch. Now, not saying the worst team, but just as a fan that you have to watch a game. Who would be the toughest team to sit and watch an entire game?
NBA.
Yeah.
I would probably say I like the team. Here we go. I like the team.
Oh,
And
okay. Here we go.
I like the team. And I like the player, Boogie Cousins. But sometimes it's hard because of the theatrics that he shows, because he's a better player than when he comes up with, the scowl and the looks and, kicking chairs, and because I love him as a player. I just wish he had some veterans around him to rein him in. So it's tough for me to watch them because I know how good he is, and I just want his potential and his ceiling to go through the roof, if that makes any kind of sense.
See, I would say Orlando's tough to watch, least entertaining, and the Nets. It's tough to get through a Nets game, Reg.
It is, but I don't like kicking dogs while they're down.
Well, no. This is just sort of a unscientific study here of of a tough team to watch an entire game. That's all. We're we don't mean any harm.
I'm with you on Brooklyn, but Brooklyn doesn't have a lot of talent. At least Sacramento has Boogie Cousins, an all-star.
Oh, yeah, I can watch Sacramento, because there is a little – like the Knicks. I think the Knicks are must-see TV because I don't know what I'm getting, but I know I'm getting something.
This is – I mean, look, misery loves company. I don't like to see the Knicks go – well, I kind of do like to see the Knicks going. No, I don't like to see the Knicks going through this. But from my standpoint, from my job tonight, it's going to be great. I cannot wait to talk all Knicks. I really can. This is a great story.
Are you the best shooter in New York right now?
As we speak today, when I walk into the Garden tonight,
yes.
I will be the best shooter on the floor.
All right.
Yes, Bradley Beal, Otto Porter, Carmelo Anthony, Ron Baker. Who else? I will be the best shooter on the floor.
I'll wait till Melo hears this.
Breaking news. Hit that button.
Paulie. Breaking news. Reggie Aloysius Miller III. Still the best shooter in the Garden. Have fun tonight. We'll be watching, and safe travels.
Theodore and my Danettes, it's truly a pleasure to be in your presence.
Thanks, Reg. Talk to you soon.
Take care, guys.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.